This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. Okay, I haven't had a gig for quite a while, and I was just thinking about, like, how did this thing actually sound last time I checked it out? And I plugged it into my Rift Dexter, which is a matchless Lightning with a 6v6 kind of output section. And yeah, I was, really enjoying things. So it's not the flashiest board in the world. All of it is based on kind of functionality. The idea with this board is that it could be used direct or with an amp, and typically when I'm playing live these days it will be with an amp because I run my own sound and I prefer the way it works with the natural band. If I have a real amp on stage as well, I find then myself and the keyboard player, there's less kind of competition going in that realm, and I can have the keyboards louder in the front of house and then just balance with the real amp on stage. That's kind of how I run things. Don't know if you run things anything like that or not, if you run your own sound. Also, I guess the idea here is to have a hybrid mix of both the modelling thing and some of the analog stuff going on, or real pedal stuff. I guess there is an argument that you could do most of this with an HX Stomp, or if you wanted to with a full Helix, for sure you could do this, but there's something to me about the idea of still having some drive sections in front of here, which actually gets me way more flexibility and not too much extra hassle. The board that I'm using here is the Harley Benton Spaceship Power 40B, which is actually powering this thing up. So that's kind of nice. You can use it plugged in as well, so that's generally what I would do for the set. Just kind of plug it in so that it definitely doesn't run out of power. Then we can go through the board itself. So the HX Stomp is running two different delays. So I have this one here and this one here, which I can switch on and off, and obviously I've got the tap tuner here. Then to front of house, this is getting the Grammatico GSG model, that into a cab, and there's a tiny bit of reverb up front. I think there's a glitch reverb. I think this might even be in the folder, this particular preset, but basically front of house gets quite a fat, round sound. Direct in a studio, it would probably sound a little bit dull, but live through PA speakers turned up loud, it really translates pretty well to sound pretty big and full. So that's that. Quite simple. Yeah, 2 delays. I'll show you the sounds on the board. Then essentially we go over here. This runs 2 different kind of boost settings. Essentially all the way down, the amp gets plus 6 dB and front of house just gets plus 3 dB because it's after the amps. So toe down does that. Then we have the Angry Driver, which is one of my favourite drive pedals. I use it predominantly for the Marshall Governor, but since Chris Butler grabbed me this, I can also make use of the Blues Driver. Then we have the Keeley Tone Workstation, so that would be my typical rhythm tone. I've got the Keeley Tone Workstation, which I run with the compressor on most of the time to kind of balance things out between driven and clean tones, using single coils. Sometimes if I end up on the bridge pickup with a clean tone, it can go away a little bit if you don't get to the neck pickup in time, so that compressor kind of evens that out. It's also got a blues breaker and a tube screamer, which I don't use typically. And then over here, Keith from 5 Watt World got David Barber to send me their collaboration pedal, which I'm using in blues breaker mode. So that's really all there is to it. The thing that I like about using these drive pedals is that I can have, you know, a bunch of combinations. So that, for instance, would be my lead tone, the Governor into the blues breaker style, or, you know, I can run, you know, all sorts of combinations. I'll just show you some of that variety. It's not the most versatile board in the world, but it can get me from very clean to very mean, and with some delay and stuff as well. I guess, yeah, there's probably more you could do with less, but this works quite nicely for me. This send here goes out to my amplifier, and then I use the output left and right to front of house, or to the mixing desk, however you want to think about that. So it's been working quite nicely for me. The bus is a newish addition. I needed to turn the volume up here. With different guitars and different amps, obviously, you know, pedals react a little bit differently. And then also this switch pedal is the very last addition, which just can get me from Governor to Blues Breaker, not Blues Breaker, Blues Driver. The Boss Blues Driver is the blue version. So actually adds another really versatile gain stage, and I just turned the pedal off, the whole pedal board, so that's cool. The only little bit of a downside is these buttons here are quite close together, so typically I wouldn't use those for loads of stuff in the set, but I think they are just a little bit too close together for my liking. But what I do like about this pedal is that you get quite a lot for your money with the Keeley Tone Workstation, you know, and a compressor is useful to have on the board, and a tube screamer can be somewhat useful sometimes for certain things. So yeah, that's my board at the moment. Let me know what yours is. Have you settled on a board? What's the longest time that you've actually managed to keep a board exactly the same? I think this spot here I could switch out for some other things sometimes potentially, but I'm kind of happy with it as it is, and just plugging it in today and playing with my amp, it was like, yeah, that sounds how I want it to sound, so that's ideal for me. Also, are you a stacking gain person, or do you just use separate gains for separate jobs? I'd like to know your thoughts. And now I'll just show you like the run through from above with the tones. Okay, so my basic clean tone would, with nothing on, would be like that. Okay, so we got that going on. Then I can kick on. Whatever that was supposed to be, so like that, and then for my lead tone, and a boost over here if I wanted. because I've always found that you probably need, especially if you're playing in a band with a keyboard player, a little bit of a boost to help you above the thing, even. Yeah, so as I said, 6 dB in front of the amp, because that's going to squish up a bit, and just 3 dB in front of house. And then I can do other things in between. Or you know, mixing. And then one time a night I have to do this kind of thing. So that does that. So that's kind of the range of tones that I can cover here. I think it works really nicely for me. You can feel free to roast it in the comments if you want. Cheers for stopping by, and catch you in another video soon. What would you change? Any of it? Or all of it? Or none of it? Stick a fuzz here. Cheers.